I never imagined my wedding vows would turn into a death sentence. Till death do us part. I said those words with love in my heart, staring into Jake's warm hazel eyes, believing we'd have forever. I never thought that one day I'd be the one deciding when that death would come. It started like any other evening. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the dishwasher. Jake was late again. No calls, no texts. But I had stopped expecting them months ago. I sat at the kitchen table, swirling the wine in my glass, staring at the untouched dinner across from me. My appetite had died long before tonight. Then, his phone vibrated. It wasn't his personal phone, the one he kept on him at all times. This was his second phone, the one he thought I didn't know about. A message flashed on the screen. 3 little words that changed everything. Miss you already. My heart stopped. The glass slipped from my fingers, shattering against the floor. My hands shook as I reached for the phone, my vision blurring with rage and heartbreak. I shouldn't have unlocked it. I should have walked away, pretended I didn't see it. But curiosity is a cruel thing. The messages were endless. Long, passionate confessions, stolen moments, promises of a future without me. I can't wait to be in your arms again. She has no idea, babe. Soon, we'll be free. I love you more than anything. The air in my lungs turned to ice. My husband. The man I had given my heart, my trust. My life was planning a future with someone else. And worse, he was waiting for the right moment to get rid of me. Rage burned through me like wildfire. My hands clenched into fists as I stared at the messages, my pulse hammering in my ears. He thought he could betray me. He thought I was weak, blind, and disposable. He was wrong. Because if Jake wanted to play games with my life, then I was about to show him just how dangerous I could be. If someone had asked me a year ago what my life looked like, I would have smiled and said, perfect. Jake and I had been married for 6 years. 6 years of laughter, shared dreams, and what I thought was an unbreakable bond. I was the kind of woman who believed in love stories, in the kind of devotion that could weather any storm. And for the longest time, I believed Jake was my happily ever after. We met in the most cliché way possible at a coffee shop on a rainy afternoon. I was running late for work, juggling an umbrella, a bag, and my phone, when I crashed straight into him. My latte spilled all over his crisp white shirt. I gasped, horrified. "Oh my God, I am so sorry." He chuckled, dabbing at the stain, his hazel eyes twinkling with amusement. Well, that's one way to get my attention. From that moment, he had me. Jake was charming, patient, and the kind of man who made even the most ordinary moments feel special. He'd surprise me with little love notes in my purse, hold my hand in crowded rooms, and kiss my forehead before I fell asleep. For years, he made me believe I was the center of his world. I still remember our honeymoon in Italy, walking hand in hand through the streets of Rome, stealing kisses by the Trevi fountain. He looked at me like I was his entire universe. "I'll love you forever, Mia," he whispered one night as we lay under the stars. No matter what. I believed him. But love, I would later learn, is not just about how someone looks at you in the good times. It's about what they do in the dark, when they think no one is watching. The first crack in our marriage was subtle. Jake started working late. Meetings ran over. His phone was suddenly always on silent. "Just a busy season, Dave," he'd say with a tired smile. "You know how work is." And I did. Jake was an architect meticulous, passionate, always chasing the next big project. I admire that about him, so I ignored the little things. The missing intimacy, the faint scent of unfamiliar perfume on his shirts. The way he started guarding his phone was like a secret he couldn't afford to lose. But love makes you blind. Or maybe I just wanted so badly to believe that we were still us. Then came the nights when he didn't come home at all. Excuses piled up. The client meeting ran late. I crashed at the office too tired to drive. "Don't wait up for me, babe." Each excuse chipped away at the foundation of our love, but I held on. Because that's what a wife does, right? She trusts me. She forgives. She fights for her marriage. I told myself I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid, that if Jake was hiding something I would know, but I didn't. And by the time I found out the truth, it was already too late. It was a Thursday night. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary until it was. Jake had called earlier to tell me he'd be working late again. "Don't wait up for me, babe. This project is killing me." I laughed softly, masking my disappointment. "Okay, just don't forget to eat. Love you." "Love you too." I hung up, but something felt off. Maybe it was the way his voice sounded rushed, like he was eager to end the call. Or maybe it was the fact that this had become our new normal, him always somewhere else, me always waiting. I poured myself a glass of wine, curled up on the couch, and tried to distract myself with a movie. But my mind wouldn't stop spinning. And then, around midnight, his phone buzzed. Not his personal phone, the other one. The one I wasn't supposed to know about. It was sitting on the entryway table where he had carelessly left it, vibrating against the wood, glowing in the dim light. I froze. Jake never left that phone out in the open. He guarded it like a lifeline, always in his pocket, always within reach. The screen lit up again. Can't stop thinking about last night. You were amazing. My blood turned to ice. I stared at the words, my fingers tightening around the wineglass. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. There was no mistaking what this was. No room for excuses, no way to twist the meaning. Jake was having an affair. My vision blurred, and for a moment, all I could hear was the deafening rush of blood in my ears. The warmth of our wedding night, the whispered forevers, the years of love and laughter, everything shattered in an instant. I reached for the phone with trembling fingers. It was unlocked. Almost as if he didn't care if I found out. The messages were endless. Late-night confessions, stolen kisses, secret meetings. "I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. Soon, baby. She won't be a problem anymore. You mean everything to me." I clutched my stomach, nausea rising. She won't be a problem anymore? What the hell did that mean? I scrolled further, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Then, I saw it. A picture. Jake, sitting at a dimly lit restaurant, smiling across the table at a woman with long, dark hair. Her hand was on his, her nails painted blood red. And I knew her. I knew her very well. The room spun. My stomach twisted into knots so tight I thought I would collapse. It wasn't just anyone. It was Emma. My best friend. The woman I had trusted with my secrets. The woman who had held my hand through my darkest days. The woman I had invited into my home, into my life, without a second thought. I dropped the phone like it had burned me. My breath came in ragged gasps, my mind racing. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a knife in the back, twisted with precision. I had spent years loving a man who was planning a future without me. I had called a woman my sister while she stole my husband right in front of me. And worse, they didn't just want to leave me. They wanted me gone. Forever. I sat there, frozen, as the weight of the trail pressed down on my chest like a boulder. My hands trembled, my breath came in shallow gasps. The room felt colder, the silence heavier. I read the messages again, hoping, praying that I had misunderstood, that there was some rational explanation. She won't be a problem anymore. What did that mean? Were they just talking about leaving me? Or was it something worse? I shook my head violently. No. This can't be real. Jake wasn't a monster. He was my husband. The man who held me when I cried, who kissed my forehead before bed, who promised to protect me from the world. But now I needed protection from him. I felt sick. My mind raced with 100 questions, each one more terrifying than the last. How long has this been going on? Was it just an affair, or was it something more? Had I ever really known him at all? I needed to breathe, to think, to do something. I stood abruptly, my body swaying as nausea hit me full force. I stumbled toward the bathroom, gripping the sink as I stared at my reflection. I looked broken. My once bright eyes were hollow, my skin pale. I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. Tears blurred my vision. I gritted my teeth, trying to suppress the sob that threatened to break free. Get it together, Mia. But how could I? My husband, the man I trusted above all else, was plotting against me. And my best friend was helping him do it. I gripped the edge of the sink, my nails digging into the porcelain. I had two choices. I could confront Jake right now, demand answers, scream, cry, throw things, make him see what he had done to me. Or I could wait, watch, gather proof, find out just how deep this betrayal ran before I made my next move. Because one thing was clear: if they wanted to get rid of me, I needed to stay one step ahead. My phone buzzed, snapping me out of my thoughts. It was a message from Jake. Jake. Hey babe. Still at the office. Don't wait for me. I stared at the screen, my hands tightening into fists. Liar. I knew exactly where he was. I could picture it perfectly, him sitting across from Emma, whispering sweet nothings, making plans for a future that didn't include me. Rage simmered beneath my skin, hot and consuming. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel weak. I felt dangerous. If Jake thought he could betray me and walk away unscathed, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I wasn't the kind of woman who got tossed aside. I was the kind of woman who made sure the people who hurt her paid for it. And this was only the beginning. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, Jake and Emma, whispering in the shadows, plotting behind my back. The words from that text haunted me. She won't be a problem anymore. What the hell did that mean? By the time morning arrived, I had made up my mind. I needed proof, real, undeniable proof. Something I could use against them when the time was right. I wasn't just going to confront Jake. I was going to destroy him. That afternoon, I followed him. I had never done anything like this before, and my heart pounded wildly in my chest as I trailed behind his car. He wasn't heading to work, and he sure as hell wasn't stuck in meetings. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Where are you going, Jake? After 20 minutes, he pulled into the parking lot of a quiet little motel on the outskirts of town. A damn motel. Anger flared hot and sharp inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I parked a few spaces away, my fingers shaking as I reached for my phone. Seconds later, Emma's sleek black car pulled up beside his. I gritted my teeth as she stepped out, dressed in a tight red dress, her dark hair cascading down her back. She looked around cautiously before slipping inside room 27. Jake followed a moment later. I let out a shaky breath. I had suspected, of course. The messages had been proof enough. But seeing it? Watching him walk into that room with her? It was like being stabbed in the gut. I should have stormed inside. Screamed. Made a scene. But I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started recording. If they thought they could humiliate me in silence, they were dead wrong. I was going to make them pay. I waited. Nearly an hour passed before the door finally opened again. Jake stepped out first, looking around as if to make sure no one had seen them. Emma followed, adjusting her dress, laughing softly as she whispered something in his ear. He kissed her, right there in broad daylight, like I didn't even exist. Like our 6 years together had meant nothing. My nails dug into my palm, but I didn't move. I just kept recording. Jake walked her to her car, leaning in one last time before she drove away. Then, he got into his own car and left, completely unaware that his wife had just watched everything. But it wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed to know exactly how deep this betrayal went. I followed Emma next. She drove straight to her house, the same cozy little place I had visited 100 times before, drinking wine on the patio, laughing over shared secrets. It made me sick. I waited until she disappeared inside before I stepped out of my car. My pulse raced as I walked toward her mailbox, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. I knew it was wrong. Illegal, even. But I didn't care. I opened it. And that's when I saw it. A thick, white envelope addressed to her. From our bank. My stomach dropped. I tore it open with trembling fingers and pulled out the statement inside. My eyes scanned the page, and then I nearly collapsed. There were transactions from our joint account. Large withdrawals. Transfers to an account I didn't recognize. And then, at the bottom of the statement, the final nail in the coffin. A life insurance policy. On me. Signed by Jake. With Emma listed as the beneficiary. I gasped, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts. She won't be a problem anymore. They weren't just betraying me. They were planning to get rid of me. Permanently. I sat in the dim light of our bedroom, the bank statement clenched in my trembling hands. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. A life insurance policy. On me. I had read it over and over, but the words never changed. Jake had signed it. Emma was the beneficiary. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to kill me. I had spent the last 6 years loving a man who was plotting my murder. The air in the room felt suffocating, thick with betrayal and rage. My vision blurred, but I didn't cry. I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious, and I wasn't going to be their victim. Jake came home late that night, just like he always did. But this time, I wasn't waiting in bed like the loyal, clueless wife he thought I was. I was sitting at the kitchen table, a glass of wine in front of me. And the bank statement. The moment he walked in, he froze. His eyes flickered to the paper on the table, and I saw it fear. He tried to mask it with a casual smile, dropping his keys onto the counter. Hey babe, what are you doing? I picked up the bank statement and held it up. Got the mail today. Jake didn't move. I watched him carefully, my heart pounding in my ears. Why does Emma's name keep showing up on our transactions? My voice was eerily calm. His jaw tightened. What are you talking about? I tossed the paper onto the table. Don't lie to me, Jake. I know everything. His face paled. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. I know about the affair. I know about the money. And I know about the life insurance policy. Silence. For a split second, I saw something dark flicker in his eyes. And in that moment, I knew I had been sleeping next to a stranger all these years. You've been spying on me? His voice was cold, detached. I let out a humorless laugh. Spying? Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have just waited until you and Emma decided to get rid of me? His expression hardened. You're being dramatic. I slammed my fist on the table. Dramatic? You took out a life insurance policy on me, Jake, and let me guess Emma gets the payout when I have my little accident? His face twitched. He had been caught. But then, to my horror, he smirked. A slow, knowing smirk that sent ice down my spine. You always were too smart for your own good, he murmured. I swallowed a lump in my throat, forcing myself to stay calm. What was the plan, Jake? A car accident? A robbery gone wrong? He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck like this was all just inconvenient for him. Honestly, we hadn't decided yet. Emma wanted something clean, but I was thinking something with a little of flair. My blood ran cold. He was talking about my death like it was a business deal. I stared at him, barely able to breathe. I loved you. My voice cracked. I would have done anything for you. His smirk disappeared. Yeah, he said quietly. That was the problem. Something inside me snapped. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. You sick, twisted bastard. He sighed again, almost bored. Look, Mia, it's over. You found out, fine. But let's be honest, you're not exactly in a position to do anything about it. I scoffed. Oh, really? He took a slow step toward me. You have no proof. My heart pounded, but I held my ground. You're right, I admitted. I didn't have proof. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. And then I started recording. Jake's entire body stiffened. I tapped the screen, letting the audio play. Honestly, we hadn't decided yet. Emma wanted something clean, but I was thinking something with a little flair. Jake's face drained of color. I hit pause. Sounds pretty damning, don't you think? He lunged for me, but I was faster. I grabbed the wine bottle and smashed it against the table, the glass shattering, leaving a jagged edge in my hand. I pointed it at him, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Don't you dare. He stopped, breathing heavily, his eyes flickering between me and the sharp glass in my hand. You won't do it, he whispered. I took a step closer. Try me. Silence. For the first time, I saw vitriol fear in his eyes. I had spent years believing Jake was my protector, that he was strong. But in this moment, I realized the truth. He was weak. I dropped my voice to a whisper. You're going to leave, Jake, right now. And if you ever come near me again, I will make sure you rot in prison for the rest of your miserable life. His jaw clenched, but he didn't move. I raised the glass a little higher. Or I can end this right now. He must have believed me, because he ran. I stood there, shaking, watching as the man I had loved, the man who had planned to kill me, disappeared into the night. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just exhaled. For the first time in a long time, I felt something I never thought I would again. Safe. Jake was gone. The front door slammed behind him, his footsteps fading into the night. The silence that followed felt deafening. My breath came in sharp, uneven gasps as I loosened my grip on the shattered wine bottle, my fingers slick with sweat. I had done it. I had survived. But it wasn't over. Not yet. I knew Jake. He wasn't the type to just run and disappear. He was cunning, calculated, and most of all, dangerous. I needed to finish this. For good. I didn't sleep at night. Instead, I packed a small bag, grabbed every piece of evidence I had, collected texts, bank statements, the recording on my phone, and drove straight to the police station. The detective on duty, a gruff man with tired eyes, listened carefully as I laid everything out in front of him. So, let me get this straight, he said, rubbing his temples. Your husband not only cheated on you, but he also took out a life insurance policy on you with his mistress as the beneficiary and was actively plotting your murder? I nodded, my fingers gripping the edge of the chair. Yes, and I have proof. He leaned back, exhaling sharply. Jesus Christ. I played him the recording. Jake's voice filled the small office, cold and emotionless. Honestly, we hadn't decided yet. Emma wanted something clean, but I was thinking something with a little of flair. The detective's expression darkened. He didn't say much after that, just stood up, grabbed a file, and left the room. By the time he came back, 2 officers were with him. We'll issue a warrant for his arrest, he said. But if what you're saying is true, you need to be careful. Men like him, they don't give up easily. I already knew that. Jake might have been the mastermind, but Emma was no innocent bystander. She had planned this with him. Signed the papers. Laughed in my husband's arms while they discussed how they'd get rid of me. She had to pay too. So, I paid her a visit. It was early morning when I arrived at her house. The sun had barely risen, casting an eerie glow over the quiet street. I parked across the road, watching as her silhouette moved inside the house. She had no idea what was coming. I stepped out, walked to her front door, and knocked. Seconds later, she opened it. And when she saw me, her face went white. Me in quote. I didn't let her finish. I shoved the bank statement against her chest, my eyes burning into hers. You thought you could help murder me and get away with it? I hissed. She stammered, her hands trembling as she tried to push the paper away. I don't know what you're talking about. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. Really? 'Cause the police do. Her eyes widened in horror. What? I leaned in, lowering my voice to a whisper. They have everything, Emma. The transactions, the life insurance policy, the recording. She took a shaky step back, her lips trembling. No, you're lying. I smirked. Am I? I saw it then, the exact moment she realized her world was crumbling. Emma had built her entire life around winning. She had taken my husband, my home, my trust in, and now she was about to lose everything. I turned to leave, but before I did, I gave her one last parting gift. "Oh, and Emma?" I glanced over my shoulder. "Jake ran. He left you behind. Hope you two were worth it." And with that, I walked away. Jake was smart. He wouldn't go home. Wouldn't use his credit cards. He'd be hiding, waiting for the right moment to resurface. But I knew him better than he knew himself. And I knew exactly where he'd go. The motel. The same one where I had caught him and Emma together. I drove there that night, heart racing, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I parked at a distance, scanning the lot. And then I saw him. Sitting alone in his car, hunched over the wheel. His head in his hands. Pathetic. I could have called the police right then and there. Let them take him away like the criminal he was. But I wanted him to see me first. To know I was the reason his life was over. So I stepped out of the car and walked straight toward him. His head snapped up at the sound of my footsteps. And when he saw me, his face twisted in pure rage. "You bitch," he snarled, flinging the car door open. I didn't even flinch. "Nice to see you too, husband." He stalked toward me, fists clenched, fury in his eyes. But I didn't move, because right behind me red and blue lights flashed. Sirens wailed. And within seconds, officers surrounded him, guns drawn. Jake froze. "Mia..." His voice cracked. "Baby, we can talk about this." I tilted my head, feigning sympathy. "Yeah, I don't think so." A second later, the officers tackled him to the ground, handcuffed him, hauled him to his feet, and as they dragged him toward the police car, he screamed my name, begged, pleaded. But I just stood there, arms crossed, watching as the man who tried to kill me was shoved into the back of a squad car. And then, just like that, he was gone. Jake was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and several other offenses that ensured he'd rot in prison for a very, very long time. Emma? She tried to run too. Didn't make it very far. She could have dealt with the police, throwing Jake under the bus to save herself. But it didn't matter. She lost her job, her reputation, everything. As for me, I survived. No. I won. The divorce was finalized within months, and with the life insurance fraud exposed, I got everything. The house. The money. My freedom. And one night, as I sat on my back porch, sipping a glass of wine, I finally let out a deep breath. For the first time in years, I was truly free, and I'd never let anyone take that from me again. The end.